Breaking tonight, new fallout. Carly Fiorina fights back against the ladies of The View after the co-host mocked the Republican candidate for her appearance and her face at the last Republican debate. Watch.
You know what Carly said, which really made me laugh?
3 pages.
Three pages. She kicked off, I don't know what's happening, she kicked off her thing saying, you know, people tell me that I didn't smile enough during the last debates. She looked demented. I mean, she did not, her mouth did not downturn one time. She was like,
Halloween mask. I love that.
A smiling Fiorina. Can you imagine?
I think demented is a strong word, but it looked like she'd been practicing that for a long time. And she did get some affirmation from Trump.
She means demented. I think as a comic, I have to stand up for the words we use.
Today, Fiorina confronted the hosts in a somewhat tense exchange.
Let's clear the air. We know you took issue with something that was said last week. What's happening, girl?
I've been called all kinds of things. I mean, I've been called a bimbo from the time I was a secretary to the time I was a CEO. I think we need to be able to have civil conversations in this country about our differences, as well as about the things that unite us. And so I think all too often we demonize a messenger because we don't like the message.
You were a little upset with us about a comic comment that was made, and so how will you steel your skin? Do you know what I mean? How will you get a thicker skin to accept some of the humorous things that will be said about you?
Well, hey, if you meant your comment about my face being demented and a Halloween mask as humorous, so be it.
I want to add that the demented comment was a poor choice of words. It was not a thing on your looks, it was more your expression that it felt like you were being maybe told to smile more.
I don't have people coaching me to act a different way or be a different way. Okay. I am who I am. And I love to smile and laugh, but there's a time to smile and there's a time to be serious. When you're talking about bearing a child, it is not time to smile.
You're using the feud with The View as well as part of your fundraising campaign. There's a video that's going out, but you're clearly trying to make lemonade out of lemons here, aren't you?
Oh, so you're telling me that you guys are lemons?
No, I'm just saying.
I shouldn't be offended.
That's a good one. That is funny, actually.
Yeah. Very good.
Joining me now, fresh off her appearance on The View, Republican presidential candidate Carly Fiorina. Thank you for being here tonight.
It's good to be with you. Thanks for having me.
I have to say, the lemons comment, it was a good one. It was a good zinger, although she seems like she's qualified to tell you saying such a thing is funny. How did you think that this appearance went? It was so highly anticipated that you were going to sit down and talk to these ladies today. What was your overall take?
Well, I was happy to talk to the ladies of The View. I think, as I said to the ladies of The View, conservative women are held to a different standard than liberal women. I think that's demonstrably true. I also said to them that the liberal left so often demonizes the messenger when they don't like the message. And what was interesting, you didn't play in that clip, but they started out by doing what liberals so often do. They said, well, tell us how you can be for women if you don't support. And then they went through the litany of the left. So that's kind of always the way it is. You're not a woman who supports other women unless you believe in abortion on demand, unless you believe the federal government ought to raise the minimum wage, unless you believe that the federal government ought to mandate mandatory child leave of a certain length and duration. And that's how they started the interview. So I think they made my point, is the point.
They actually started the interview, and it appeared they were going to be warm and welcoming. Whoopi Goldberg opened with, "Hey girl, let's clear the air." But then the mood of the interview soured, Carly, when they took on this conversation about Planned Parenthood. And you said, whether you're pro-choice or pro-life, the majority of Americans are horrified by the reality that we're harvesting baby parts through late-term abortions. Whoopi Goldberg then replied to you by saying, "I need to stop you because that's not true," when in fact that is true. That's because we now know that Planned Parenthood recently changed their payment policy for fetal tissue. Do you think you got anywhere with these women?
Well, I hope I got somewhere with the audience, which is the point. In the end, I doubt I influence Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar, but they are speaking to millions of women day after day after day. And so it's important that women know that when Whoopi Goldberg says it's not true, that that's false. You know, Reagan used to say, you're entitled to your opinion, you're not entitled to your own facts. And so what I do day after day after day, in addition to talking about my candidacy and what's at stake in the nation, I educate people about what's really going on. For example, I talked to a bunch of students today. They actually don't know that the federal government has taken over the student loan business. They don't know the reason their student loan is skyrocketing is because the government controls it now.
Carly, I also want to hit on, there was a moment in New Hampshire where a gentleman approached you in a diner and made a reference to President Obama. We have that clip, and I want your response to it, if you could, please.
He doesn't want this country to get ahead. He doesn't. He's a Muslim.
Well,
he's a black Muslim.
Time to do something different in many ways.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Nice to see you.
He made a reference to the president being a Muslim, and you're being criticized because you didn't respond to that.
Well, I've responded to that over and over again. And, you know, that diner town hall, I went through substantive question after substantive question. So I've said on many occasions that President Obama tells me he's a Christian, I take him at his word. But the truth is, President Obama isn't on the ballot. The person who's on the ballot, who's going to be on the ballot on the Democrat side, is Hillary Clinton. And so I talk about the issues that face our nation, and I talk about how it is that I can beat Hillary Clinton, because in the end, we have to win the White House. But I also think it's time to do something different now. We cannot simply replace a D with an R, because we've had R's in the White House over 40 years, and yet the things we say we care about haven't gotten fixed. We haven't ever slashed spending. We haven't ever limited the size and growth of government.
Speaking of which, that is going to be the focus of our Fox Business debate coming up next week. I know that you and I will be packing our bags to go to that, Carly. Any words heading into that debate, your expectations?
Well, look, when I launched my candidacy on May 4th, I was 16 out of 16. Polling people didn't even ask my name. That's how little people thought of me. And next week, I will be standing on a debate stage with 7 other candidates. No other candidate has had the trajectory that I've had, particularly because I was, and actually still remain, the least well-known candidate in the field. So I'm very honored to be standing on that stage, and I look forward to answering questions from what I know will be great moderators.
All right. Well, a debate solely focused on the economy, your money, and everything that you care about the most. Carly Fiorina, thank you for joining us tonight. By the way, don't forget that next Republican debate is coming up this Tuesday.